Looks like everyone is in a holiday mode. Good evening, everyone. And I guess even the newspaper journalists are also in a holiday mode. Not a lot of important articles for the day. So we will focus on some important PIB articles today. Usually these PIB articles are also covered in newspapers. But today there is absolutely nothing that is exam worthy except one article in the Hindu. But even that one we have covered multiple times and I don't want to bore you. Today's class is about what are the recent events. So this is the kind of article where you will have to note down facts. Usually when you are preparing for this exam, I advocate that you have to focus more on structure, right? And we have covered agriculture issues multiple times. You know, input, process, output, this value chain of agriculture concept has been used multiple times. So I don't want to repeat it all over again. This class's agenda would be to focus on structural facts. Structure is intact. Now the facts, the updates. So there is, this article. There is this article where in PIB where the steps taken for improvement of agriculture are given. So we will read it along and try to rearrange it in the structure. You know, this agriculture is divided into inputs. Then you have some processes. And then you have output. At this output level, you have the end consumer, right? So this approach is called the farm to fork approach. From farm till fork. Fork means the consumer. Whatever stages that agriculture passes through, we will try to study agriculture from this value chain perspective. That will make our structuring easy and will make our response quicker. So at the input level, you will have land, labor, seeds, fertilizers, irrigation, etc. etc. Now, what steps are taken by the government if a question like this comes? I just want you to see throughout this process, wherever there is a problem, government needs to intervene and take a action. If irrigation is bad, obviously you expect the government to take up some initiative. If seed quality is bad, you expect the government to intervene and establish a certifying mechanism. If labor problem is there, if pricing problem is there, at every stage there is a problem. So the prerequisite to understand the PIB article is the previous discussions. Multiple times you have had this discussion. What are the inputs, how agriculture is done, and how is it marketed. You need to have a complete value chain understanding of agriculture, and that's when you will understand the problems. At each stage there is one problem. For example, if marketing problem is there, what is the kind of problem? What is the nature of problem? Are we not able to market our produce? No, that is not the problem. It is how is it marketed? It is driven through middlemen, which is a major problem because price discovery is becoming difficult. To elaborate, farmers are not able to dictate the price. Middlemen are dictating the prices. Whatever they give, that will be the price. And that is not a desirable situation. So like this, throughout agriculture, you will have to intervene as a state. Now this PIB article is about the same. What are the steps taken? Firstly, if the efficiency part is not there in inputs, you are supplying something to the Okay, see here. You are supplying some input. Okay. If this input is inefficiently used, it is both wasteful expenditure as well as harmful to environment. You pump in more fertilizers, more water than necessary, you're obviously wasting environmental resources and putting pressure. So to correct this problem, you have this National Mission for Sustainable Agriculture. Okay. In environment, to deal with climate change, we have National Action Plan for Climate Change. Okay. Now, there are 8 submissions under that. 8 or 9? 8 or 9? So, 8 submissions under that. Under which submission you can put this National Mission for Sustainable Agriculture, or is it a submission in itself? Is this a scheme? Is this a submission? Or it's under some submission under this NAPCC? You all prepared for prelims at least once. Please tell me. Okay, this is the homework first thing you have to do. Okay. Now, per drop more crop. Which problem is this scheme likely to address? Yes? Water, irrigation. Is it one of the input? Why are we doing this? What is the intent of the scheme? See, in a lot of areas, let's say if one crop requires only 1 liter, for example, because of lack of knowledge, we are pumping in 10 to 20 liters, which will overall reduce the yield. Because there is no breathing space for the roots. They get submerged and effective production will not happen. So, to fix all those kind of problems, per drop more crop scheme was initiated. Okay, Krishi Sanchaya Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sanchaya Yojana. So, what is the concept here? Water use efficiency. Now, water use efficiency is one theme within agriculture and also in geography. You will get a mains question at both these levels. What do you mean by water use efficiency? Technical definition. Okay. Ministry defines water use efficiency, or Niti Aayog defines water use efficiency. What do you mean by it? This is question number 1. How do we achieve this water use efficiency? What are the mechanisms for it? This is question number 2. This is one of the way. This scheme is one of the way. But what is the technical level intervention? How can technology help us achieve water efficiency? What are the policy level? What are the social changes in behaviors? You need to have a clarity on these metrics. A comprehensive 360-degree view is necessary to understand how we can achieve this water use efficiency. And this per drop more crop is only at farm level. The scheme is at the farm level, but throughout agriculture and throughout water usage in agriculture, how can we improve efficiency is a larger question. But most of the problems of agriculture with respect to water happen at farm level. That's why this scheme came up. How are we trying to solve it? Through micro irrigation technologies. Okay. You can sit backside also. You can sit in the back or in the front. Okay. So now look at this drip and sprinkler irrigation system. What is the difference between drip and sprinkler? This can be a prelims question also, right? Please note this down. Drip and sprinkler irrigation systems. Clear? Now, integrated farming system for enhancing productivity. This can be another theme. What do you mean by integrated farming system? Can anyone tell me what is integrated farming system? Exactly. When you combine two crops, apart from that, you also integrate farming with animal husbandry, fisheries, whatever is conducive for that environment. You are leveraging a synergy of strategies to increase resilience, environmental resilience as well as economic resilience. That kind of a system is called integrated farming system, and you are trying to recycle the resources as much as possible. For example, if you have animal husbandry within the farm level, the waste of the cattle, cow dung for example, can be used as manure in the soil. So this kind of resource efficiency is promoted through integrated farming system. That is something that you need to know. Now, then you also have soil health and fertility scheme. So you need to note this down and map it to the respective input. Make a list of inputs, the existing problems, the schemes, their performance. This is how you are supposed to make notes. When I am asking you to take down the steps, the reason is this. You need to have this structured note. Input, process, output. Inputs, what are the inputs? Present level, steps taken, their performance. In GS2, you have something called implementation of schemes. So if you want to evaluate why certain schemes are having a problem, usually they will again be about funds, functions, functionaries, functionality, rule of law, the same old governance metrics. Clear? Now, similarly, you have other themes like horticulture, bamboo mission. They promote climate resilience in agriculture. Organic farming is one more theme. So you have this Krishi Vikas Yojana. You have this Mission Organic Value Chain Development for Northeast region. These themes you may not directly get questioned, like list down the themes and the initiatives taken by the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare. You won't get questions like that. But the ability to map these schemes to respective parameter in the value chain and your ability to recall will help you both at prelims and mains level. Within environment, this definitional clarity and schemes, initiatives and laws, these are areas where most people forget because of lack of a structure. If you can look at entire agricultural sector as a problem to be solved, each of the scheme is addressing the problem. And if you evaluate, if you come across any government report or any CAG audit or any news like this, you just have to list down and see how they are performing. That's it. That is the preparation here. So I want you to go back, read this PIB article. Okay. Clear? Corrective steps to address structural challenges in agriculture. What is the structural challenge here? What do you mean by structural challenge? What is a structural challenge? Structural change or structural challenge refers to the very design of how agriculture sector is like. If agriculture sector right now as a economic activity is organized as an economic activity, it has certain structure. In that structure, the first problem is that the farmer's side, the supply side is completely unorganized. The level of organization begins after they enter into the market. And even that is very skewed against them. They don't have any bargaining power. They don't have enough money, enough capital. So what are the essential factors of production? Land, labor, capital and enterprise. Obviously you don't have land because land is fragmented, and the 86% of small and marginal farmers, according to the agricultural census, the last agricultural census, we don't have the latest data, are small and marginal farmers. So you don't have productive yields because of land fragmentation. Labor, agriculture labor are anyway in distress. Capital, they don't have access to capital. And enterprising ability, forget about that. So every factor of production is against them. And the primary structural reason is lack of a recognition. Do you have an identity card for a farmer? See, if you are a corporate employee, let's say you're working in Google, Microsoft, you have an identity card. But what is the identity card of a farmer? They don't even have a passbook to claim that properly sometimes. If farmers, small and marginal farmers, people who own a piece of land are like this, what about agricultural laborer? So these problems are called the structural problems. Clear? So go back and read this. Yeah, this one, another important steps taken to strengthen the healthcare system. Now, to understand this article, let me briefly explain how healthcare sector is, structured in India. You all know this, but I'll again repeat it. I want you to note down these facts. These are very important. What is the syllabus area to which you can map this article? The article is GS2, related to GS2 health, social justice part, welfare part, health. Okay. Now, when it comes to the organization of health sector in India, it primarily follows from the level of definition to the level of organization, WHO's definitions, World Health Organization. Now, what is the definition of health according to World Health Organization? Anyone? Doctors, please tell us. What is the definition of health? It is not just an absence of disease, but a state of well-being, both physical and mental. It is not an absence of disease, but a state of well-being. And this includes both mental as well as physical. So, absence of disease, when we say absence of disease, it is not about a cure, it is also prevention. I told this line even previously, prevention is better than cure, you all know it. But I am directly copying this line from a cricket commentator, Navjot Singh Sidhu. He used this line way back, but it always stuck with me. It is always better to prevent and prepare than repent and repair. And this should be the philosophy of governance. Anyone who is holding a position of power, who is supposed to act responsibly, they are supposed to have this mindset. Why am I talking about this? Let's look at the organization of the health sector as per WHO norms. Now, see, how is health sector organized? As per WHO norms, it has a 3-tier structure. At the bottom of the pyramid, you have the primary healthcare. And here at the district level and the block levels, you have secondary healthcare. And here at the top, you have tertiary healthcare. This includes super specialty. After COVID, we expected that the situation would change. We all know that healthcare is a very big problem in India. Everybody will have a generic opinion. But if you are a policymaker, how should you first define the problem statement of healthcare sector? What is the policy problem that we should address? Okay. Now let's begin with that. So this is the three-tiered model, and the intent of primary sector is prevention. So if you were to prevent the diseases like communicable diseases, whatever are there, and ensure preventable deaths, let's say for example snake bites, all this should happen at the primary healthcare center. Now if the doctors or the healthcare workers at the primary sector think that the problem of a patient cannot be cured because of lack of infrastructure or specialist, they refer. This referral system is the backbone of health care in India. So this upward referral system, depending on the complexity, if the patient requires intervention at maybe a hospital level through tests, they will be taken to the secondary healthcare centers where you will have hospital beds. And if problem is not solved even there, you then bring them to the tertiary healthcare units. And entire emphasis in India is on developing this tertiary care units, but not at the block level. Every single problem that you can imagine in the healthcare sector is mostly linked to the skewed balance of allocation of funds, skewed balance due to misallocation of funds. See, strictly speaking, we always say we need to produce more jobs. But if we focus on actually deploying people and creating employment opportunities at the village level, healthcare sector has a potential to create a lot of jobs. Create trained healthcare professionals at the block level and the village level, you will have lot of preventable diseases addressed. For example, today there is a news article that till 2019, if we take the data from 2 decades before that, there is a consistent increase in diabetes. As of now, nearly 35% of Indian population is estimated, 25 to 35 depending on the study, is estimated to have diabetes. And the next generation, the risk is increasing by 43%. So half of the population is going to be diabetic. And that's primarily because of the lifestyle diseases, which can be prevented through intervention at the very block level or the village level through education. Educated people anyway, they won't listen because they're very knowledgeable. At least the vulnerable population at the grassroots level, if they're warned, they will be careful. So maybe we can focus on that by creating enough employment. Don't you think the steps taken by the government should be intervening at each of this level? Right. If you don't have enough funds for creating the infrastructure at each of this level, how about leveraging technology? Right? That is one problem. Second problem, manpower problem. Let's say you studied in a very good college. How many of the doctors are willing to go back and settle at grassroots level? Not a lot of them. So why not have specialized courses? Let's say you have registered medical practitioners, RMPs. Why not legitimize them as a certain level of healthcare workers, increase their number and allocate state budget for surveillance? From the grassroots level, if you have data for surveillance, where you will monitor health of different individuals from vitals till entire blood reports, You will have a health picture of this country in a snapshot, just like that. And this is what our Ayushman Bharat digital mission strives to achieve. This is a previous year question. Okay. But did it start with an intent to gather data from bottom up? Not necessarily, but that should be the vision. Now, with the leverage of AI and other digital technologies, combine it with IoT, don't you think we will have a better quality of life? Don't you think we should be having a better quality of life? What you do with that data and who is going to benefit out of it is a different question. That's a question of ethics. I'm talking about possibility. You have manpower problem, you have budget problem, you have structural problem, and you have awareness problem. These are the problems which are meant to be solved at secondary and tertiary sectors by the government. Now let us see through the steps taken by the government if they are actually doing it. See, you have the National Health Mission. What does it ensure? Universal access to equitable, affordable, quality health care. So, on paper, you do have a scheme. What is this National Health Mission? What is it trying to do? Let's see. See, this National Health Mission is trying to achieve universal health care by focusing on health system strengthening, RMN, CH+A, and disease control. What is the full form of this? Reproductive, maternal, neonatal, children, child health plus adolescence. Okay. This approach focuses on the life cycle of an individual. Okay. It starts from the mother. Reproductive rights of the mother until the baby becomes an adolescent. This life cycle approach is the one that is followed by National Health Mission, and the primary intent is rural and urban areas. You will focus on strengthening health systems. What does this mean? Isn't it sounding vague? Let's see what it means. And of course, disease control, you understood that by now. You either prevent it or do something to cure it. So if you read this article, you will see that the National Health Mission is divided into two components: rural, urban. Okay. Now, please focus on this. At the rural level, in the rural blocks, you have something called Ayushman Arogya Mandars. This is the revamped version, like the name is changed. It's more or less like primary healthcare center, but for better branding and better communication, that they are upgraded with new infra, you are starting to call them Arogya Mandars. Okay. So as of now, the number is not important. Never try to remember numbers when you're preparing. Okay. It's pointless to by heart these numbers. Don't focus on that. Just focus on the logic. Some so and so numbers are there and they are operationalized. How are they operationalized? Sub-health centers and primary health centers in rural and urban areas, they are clubbed together. Now, a government will try to inform the public that an activity or an upgrade has happened. It is difficult to do that without renaming and rebranding, and that is what this government has done. So, Arogya Mandars are nothing but grassroots level healthcare centers. So, as a part of this, you have Pradhan Mantri Ayushman Bharat Health Infrastructure Mission, which is a centrally sponsored scheme. Now, this word centrally sponsored, to those who are not aware, there are various kinds of schemes. Central sector schemes, centrally sponsored schemes. Broadly, these are the two words that you will listen to. Centrally sponsored means center and states both combined together. Is health a state subject or a central subject? So, why is center taking up the pain to fund? Because state budgets will not be enough. There will be some common themes where if there is convergence of the center and the states, not only monetary wise but also intent wise, there will be better results. Because let's say for example, during the time of pandemic, you have something called ICMR, okay, which is a central body. Now ICMR will get funds from center, but the results should be shared with the states. So whenever the center is intervening, it will have some advantage to the state. So let's say for example, even in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, you have this 108 ambulance scheme, and what is the scheme? I forgot. Arogyasri. Arogyasri is nothing but insurance. For this, state is giving the budget. If center is also giving the budget, it will add up and increase the value to the citizen. That is how a centrally sponsored scheme will work. Core central schemes, 100% they will be given by center. Okay. When you are preparing for prelims, we will see this separately. For now, this is what it is. Just understand. Now, so in this you will see this central sponsored scheme with some central sector components. Ignore the number. Okay. Some central sector components and other is by states. The measures under this focus on developing capacities of health systems and institutions across the continuum of care. Please use this keyword and note it down, continuum of care. Because vocabulary sometimes is very important to describe the structure. Healthcare structure in India is described as a continuum of care, where from the village level till the tertiary level, there is a referral system which is acting as the backbone of our health sector. Okay. So the focus here is infrastructure at all levels. Okay. Across the sectors, it will give funds to improve infra. But is infra alone enough? No, right? There should be something. Now let us see if that something else is also provided. As a part of this, so and so number of buildings are constructed. It's a government report, so it will give you some numbers. Ignore that. Coming to the next part. Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. Scheme number 2. It's a flagship scheme of the government which provides health cover of 5 lakh per family. Insurance. See, you have infrastructure. So a patient should come and pay the bill. If they don't have money, then what? That is the problem solved by the government through this scheme. Okay. Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. Next, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare launched various digital initiatives. One of the major initiatives is Digital Mission, Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission. Launched in September 2021. It aims to create an online platform enabling interoperability within the health ecosystem. The aim of this mission is to create an electronic health record of every citizen. It envisages developing the backbone necessary to support integrated digital health infrastructure of the country. Why am I reading out every line? Usually in your prelims exam, where do you get statements from? PIB. Okay, please have a look at it. It's the backbone. See, usually when you are preparing for prelims, if somebody must have told you every extreme statement should be eliminated. This is one kind of advice you usually get, right? Now look at this word, every citizen. Do you think this is extreme? Does it sound extreme? So if a question is given, which of the following statements about Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission are correct? Statement number 1. The aim of this mission is to create an electronic health record of every citizen. A person who just relies on tricks, who just relies on jugaad, shortcuts, quick fixes, who doesn't have the awareness of the problem statement, who doesn't have awareness of the health sector, who doesn't have awareness of what problem a scheme is trying to solve, would either by heart information and forget and get confused, or rely on tricks. So if I give you just this as a note, I will copy paste all of this, break it down into different points, put it in a document and publish it in a PDF format and put it across you. Do you think you can appreciate the nuances? See, if this piece of information is given to you, can you interpret it, understand the significance of each statement, and see how each statement carries a weight? Not a lot of people will be able to do that. And as a result, you blame yourself. You will blame that I did not remember the information, so I have to buy new material and I will have to mug up all that material, and that's when I'll clear the exam. But are we trying to remember anything or understand? See, if the intent is understood, why will it not do it for every citizen? The very word itself is universal healthcare. Universal access to healthcare. When your objective is universal healthcare, why not every citizen? Why do you think this every citizen will become an extreme statement? I picked up this article to explain how logical fallacies play out in your prelims exam and why people score negative marks. Don't you think this could have been a possibility if you didn't understand the context? Every statement, at least, even if your common sense says that, in the panic mode, in the examination hall, you will start doubting, is this an extreme statement? Maybe I didn't understand the context better. When the common sense says, it's absolutely correct. So the danger of this tricks is that you will outsource your common sense to these tricks. Panic overrides your logic. Preparation is not just about reading information, but also to contain your emotion and just stick to basics. Take it as a ground rule. If any piece of information becomes famous on social media, ironically this is being aired, I don't think this will become famous anyway. So this doesn't have any sensationalism, pure logic. So it might not get viral, but anyway, if any trick is getting famous without any sense of logic, take it for granted the big boss is watching. So do not rely on tricks and shortcuts and always stick to understanding the concepts and basics. You are problem solvers. And in that bit to solve problems, don't create new ones for yourself. Okay? Moving on. See, here you will have other schemes. The next scheme is Pradhan Mantri Swasthya Suraksha Yojana. What is the intent of this? Always see the intent. It aims to correct regional imbalances in the availability of tertiary healthcare. Now, what does this mean? Let's say Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, at the time of division, all the important hospitals are located in Hyderabad. Not a lot of hospitals are built in major cities of Andhra Pradesh. That has been one major complaint. But in reality, if you take a look at even Telangana, do you think you have enough hospitals? For example, the only hospital at the time of division in the state of Telangana for entire northeast belt of Telangana, northeast Telangana part, for Khammam, Bhadradrigudem and Karimnagar and Warangal. At least for Khammam you have some hospital, but majorly for Karimnagar and Warangal there is only one hospital, MGM. Don't you think this is a problem? So, are you telling me someone suffering from a heart attack should travel all the way from Karimnagar till Warangal and expect to survive? This is the regional, intra-regional and inter-regional imbalance in infrastructure. To correct that problem, we have this scheme. So, how do you study schemes for prelims? This is how. Understand the sector completely, the flow of that problem, and government initiatives are a bridge to solve those problems. Clear? Next scheme. Okay, that's it. These are the initiatives taken by the government. So please go through this and map it to the basics of health sector. Clear? Whenever you are having doubts, I recommend, highly recommend that you visit Ministry of Health website and look at these components. It will make your understanding very clearer. If there are many schemes and you are not able to remember them, especially during prelims, how do you remember them? First, understand the entire sector as a logical flow. Health sector, agriculture ministry, civil aviation, shipping ministry, road ministry. Understand the entire flow like a value chain concept. And then break it down into further subcomponents. For each of the subcomponent, there is one problem. For that problem, there will be a scheme. That is how you are supposed to prepare government schemes. Not a 200-300 page document with no structure and logic. And you do your best to mug up everything only to realize you forgot everything. And then you will panic. And then you will sit and watch a YouTube video on how to prepare government schemes under 20 minutes. When you have already spent 20 days mugging up a 200 page document. And the cycle repeats for every subject. Remember, you're all problem solvers. Understand the problem first. Then you can automatically solve it. Clear? Moving on. Yeah. Automotive mission plans. Somehow today there are a lot of important articles in PIB. The automotive mission plan is an industry-led initiative. See, first of all, to appreciate this news article, we have to see the larger context. GS3. See, the answer for all this problems is accountability and public participation. If people are demanding, see, after COVID, do you think any election across the world demanded healthcare revamp? Did you demand a new hospital? So there are a lot of controversies about vaccines, the side effect of vaccines. Did anyone ask from common public, did it become a movement? Did any political party take it up as a movement? You know the problem of healthcare is there from many years. Whatever steps were taken is because of some good leaders, but not because of public's interest. So who is to be blamed here? Public or leaders? Make health a fundamental right. There should be a movement for that. Public are aware, they're just not interested, that's all. It will only bother them when time comes. When matters to them. Till then, nothing is going to change. Okay, anyway, coming back. Automotive Mission Plan 2047. So, this is in the context of GS3, environment, climate change. And if you want to solve the problem of climate change, the strategy that you need to follow is decarbonization. And as a part of this, India has a very specific strategy called LTLEDS, long-term low emission developmental strategy. In simple words, this is the decarbonization plan. If you do not understand, I will simplify it further. Right now, the economic model, whatever may be the model you are talking about, is dependent on burning fossil fuels, using environmental resources, and increasing greenhouse gas emissions. So, a movement or a shift in the production patterns where emphasis is on reducing the dependence or reducing the carbon footprint rather. That is called the long-term low emission developmental strategy. So, India identified 6 major pillars in this decarbonization agenda. One of them, I will not elaborate this decarbonization agenda now because it will take a very long time. One of them is energy transition. And as a part of this energy transition, not only about power, but also about fossil fuels. And in this, the biggest player is the automotive sector. So, this automotive mission plan is primarily focused on making automobiles sustainable for environment. And the way to do that is e-vehicles. Clear? Not only environment friendly, because understand the business logic. Businesses here do not function because they have to be environment friendly. They have to be consumer friendly. The customer friendly attitudes displayed by the companies will make them stand in the market. Yes, there is a segment of population that wants the so-called greener products with lesser environmental footprint. But that wish will not be achieved unless companies have economies of scale. Correct. And you won't get support from public for a new technology unless and until it comes from the side of the government. So, this mission plan is an endeavor from the government side to create that ecosystem and enabling environment so that this transition happens in the automotive sector by 2047. What is the significance of 2047? 100th year of independence. And what is the slogan? Vikasit Bharat. What do you mean by Vikasit Bharat? The word Vikasit. Development. Okay. Anyway, the vision for 2047 is not an aspiration but a strategic roadmap backed by concrete targets for sector growth, exports, industry advancement. Various ministries, industrial bodies, academic institutions, research think tanks and testing agencies. Simply put, too complicated, just like any other government report. It says, do whatever it takes to revamp the automobile sector, bring in everyone. I just want e-vehicles. I don't want to import oil anymore by 2047. This is what the document says. Let's reread that after me explaining. This vision is not an aspiration. It is not a wish list. It shows some desperation, but a strategic roadmap backed by concrete targets for sector growth, exports, industry advancement. Various ministries, industrial bodies, academic institutions, research think tanks, testing agencies, entire ecosystem basically. Whoever is relevant for this vision, bring them on board. And this is not a wish list, it's urgent. That's why you have mission, not vision. It's a mission because it will have concrete targets. The difference between a vision and a mission is the presence of this concrete target. What are these concrete targets, etc.? Maybe the government will come up with a new notification. We will wait for that. But for now, in your answers, if you have to talk about e-vehicles or if you have to talk about this decarbonization agenda, you can quote that the government came up with a automotive mission for 2047. Good thing is that you can use this heading for the next 10 years. And I don't think you will be a part of the preparation till then. Don't intend to be a part of the preparation. Just a heads up. Okay, that finishes this issue. And just below that, you have promotion of e-vehicle manufacturing. See, the biggest component of e-vehicles is the battery storage. You have this battery storage, right? So you have a PLI scheme. PLI scheme for automobile and auto components as well as for battery storage. In June, I guess, we discussed one technology, E2E technology. Anybody remembers that? If there is excess power in your battery, you can give it back to the grid. Cars can give excess power back to the power grid. V2G, sorry, not E2V. V2G technology, vehicle to grid. Why do you think we needed this? Because the problem of energy storage and the problem of grid stability through renewable energy is intertwined. Let me explain that. Let's say you move away from the common fossil fuels, thermal power, your gas-based power, biogas power. All of this are your power obtained by burning fuels. Now, if you want to move away from that and depend on solar, what is the problem? Solar or wind? Solar, it won't work in the night. Wind, it won't work when there is no wind. And none of this is a problem that can be solved through nature. You can't have sunlight all the time. You can't have wind all the time. So, the only possible solution is whenever power is produced, it should be stored. And for that, battery storage system should be resilient. And the biggest problem of the sector here, the sector of renewable energy as well as e-vehicles, is that on one hand, they do not have grid stability through renewable energy. So if that fuel, if that power is produced through burning of fossil fuels, what is the point? See, you are charging your e-vehicle and this power is coming by coal. You are just complicating the whole issue for the customer. The end objective is not changing. Now you depend on solar. By the time it is night, you are in the middle of the highway, there is no power in the battery and there is no sun. Either way, it is a complication. And as a part of that, this V2G technology is one of the recommended solution, but it is not viable. Why it is not viable? Because if you want to send the power from battery to the grid, do you think the car manufacturers will make the batteries to support this? Obviously no. It's very complicated. So this technology is a non-starter. It will also increase the cost of the battery. So the only way is you give incentives for production, and that is the PLI scheme. Which ministry? Minister of State for Heavy Industries. This scheme of FAME 2 for subsidizing e-vehicles is brought out by Ministry of Heavy Industries. Clear? Now, you also have steel. Back to basics once again. What are the 8 core sectors of economy? What is IIP? Index of Industrial Production. And what is the weightage of steel? So, if you want to decarbonize, look at the weightage of steel and map it to decarbonization. If decarbonization agenda is to be achieved along with automotives, thermal power plants, one of the biggest area that we need to work on is steel industry, because steel is a very large contributor for global warming, greenhouse gas emissions. Okay, that's it. These are the important articles from the PIB, and from the Hindu there is only one article. This one. Is Indian economy perfectly balanced? This article has already been discussed. The context is Trump called Indian economy as dead. Is it really in balance? People defended that we are the fastest growing economy, and for that assertion, this is a counter. Yes, we are doing well as a macroeconomic, on the macroeconomic level, we are doing well. But when it comes to the pain points of citizens, normal people, there are still a lot of problems. What are the problems? This article discusses them through graphs and indicators. Now, should you remember these facts and figures? The answer is no. Why? Data will again change after 3 months. What is it that you have to take away from this article then? The arguments. What are the arguments? You have to decide the health of an economy through macroeconomic variables. What are the macroeconomic variables? GDP growth, inflation. How is inflation seen in India? Through CPI. Then employment, inequality. 5. Debt to GDP. Fiscal deficit, current account deficit. These are the macroeconomic variables which will help us understand if our economy is doing well. By this current account deficit, by this metric, okay, by these metrics, if we evaluate India, when within unemployment, you will also talk about wage growth rate. Now let us see each of them. With respect to GDP growth, is India growing? Yes. But are the jobs increasing? No. So this gives rise to a phenomenon called jobless growth. And this problem is not new. This question of jobless growth was asked in previous year questions also. Combine these two, you will have jobless growth. Okay. Now, inflation, is it under control? Sometimes yes, but for most of the year, in some quarters it is not, but for most of the year it is within the range. What is this so-called range? The range is set by Monetary Policy Committee. It says that it can be anywhere between 2 to 6%. 6% of what? Confident ga chepparu kada, like 2 to 6% of what? Headline? 2 to 6% of what? What is the metric? See, it should be within a range 2 to 6% is what you said. Are you telling me 2 to 6% of basket of commodities prices? Is it at constant prices or nominal prices? Year on year or with the base year? How are we calculating? When we say it should be within the range, are we comparing quarter by quarter with basis of base year or year on year? Yes? Year on year. Sure. Then what about quarterly results? Go back and do the homework. Now, this is CPI. What about something that gives the real plight of the people? Food prices. Agricultural inflation or food prices inflation, has it been constant in the last 1 year? Fluctuating. Now, if food prices are fluctuating, if you take a look at the household expenditure survey or consumer price index itself, the largest basket or the largest weight is given to food because that constitutes the largest segment. Okay. So, if food prices are continuously fluctuating, do you think it is a healthy sign for an economy? But do we have control over food prices? To an extent, yes. We have some schemes like price stabilization funds for basic commodities. You have PDS for rice and wheat and other essentials. Rations are provided through National Food Security Act. But this will also have an impact on economy when you have to give subsidies. If you are supposed to follow this article, the basics of economy should be very strong. If you are not understanding, you will anyway have the record. Go read the basics and then come back to this recording. Okay. So food prices should be handled. And that's why we can't say our common man or most consumers are in a comfortable space. Now, let's look at another metric. Salary growth, wage growth rate. See, if you want to lead a comfortable life, along with inflation, even your wages should grow. Is that happening? The data says no. What will happen as a result? Savings will come down. Consumption will come down. After COVID, there is a sudden spike in consumption expenditure. And economic survey called it revenge spending because people were frustrated, they were locked inside. This combined with a significant growth in services, high paying salaries, etc., was a temporary phenomenon between 2021 and 2024, according to experts. That saw a permanent shift. See, during COVID, due to the digitization wave, most of the economies took a bet on companies that are expected to propel growth going forward. Digital growth, that did not happen. So jobs are vanishing. Consumer expenditure, it's all, very shaky. So most of the companies are not in a very good space because Indian economy is not in a good space when it comes to consumer level. But if you look at the bare minimum indicators, GDP growth, etc., is doing well. Therefore, we cannot say that everything is perfect for Indian economy. You have to take it with a pinch of salt. Okay, that's the discussion for today. And how about the other metrics here? We already spoke about the inequality measurement last week. Okay, I am not repeating that. Debt to GDP, we spoke about this. Fiscal deficit, current account deficit, it was a part of discussion in the month of June. Nothing really changed. So I'm not repeating those points again here. All in all, on paper, at the macroeconomic level, things are fine. But when it comes to the pain points of common man, we still have a long way to go. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you.